Hey, I'm Chris Fraser. I'm a therapist that works with teens and children. And one thing a lot of folks don't get to do is sit in front of a therapist who also grew up with some challenges. And most of us have, every counselor has their own challenges, but specifically for me, I grew up with ADHD, inattentive type. I wasn't really hyper, but I really struggled paying attention. And I didn't find out until I was an adult that I had dyslexia. So I struggled in school and I had some learning, I like to call them differences, not disabilities. And so I'm here to tell you about what ADHD really is. And this is the stuff that growing up I never heard. Um, if you think about it, the real name for ADHD should be difficult time paying attention to boring crap. Yeah, difficult time paying attention to boring crap. Um, because you think about it, when I'm playing video games back in the day, I'm giving my age away, playing Atari. I could be playing Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Defender, and I could focus all day. But put me in a classroom and have a teacher up there writing on the chalkboard, and I'm thinking about space or noticing there's a spider over her head, and way more interesting than what she's talking about. So recently, all this online learning with COVID, we've been forced to do a lot of online learning and having to focus on a really boring screen with these little teachers in these little boxes, and then wondering what the heck's wrong with us because we can't focus, and all of a sudden we're looking out the window or we're playing the Nintendo Switch secretly under the desk at home. It's really, really hard and difficult. So hunters in the farmer's world, that's an idea I had when I was in high school. ADD people are the leftover hunters from our primitive ancestors. Because so why would there be so many of us if ADHD, meaning difficult time paying attention to boring crap, didn't serve a function, wasn't useful? You look around us today, and it's way different than 200 years ago. 200 years ago, we always had to be doing to, there wasn't, you had to go to the well to get your water. You had to be moving all the time. You were building your log cabin. You're in school for this much of the day, and the rest of the day you're out hunting, farming, doing all kinds of stuff, using your body. Um, I have the theory of, thinking about the first cave people. You had to be ADHD or you're dead. If you weren't paying attention to everything at the same time, if you weren't noticing the saber-toothed tiger over here as well as the thing you're trying to hunt over here, you were dead. If you paid attention to the beautiful sunset and not the mastodon about to stomp you, you were dead. So these days, you know, you think about it, a bored hunter was a dead hunter. And so when we're trying to sit and pay attention to boring stuff, we're basically feeling like we're dying. You're dying. You're sitting there. You're going, oh my God, I want to move. Everything's just like so hard to focus. Well, if you think about it, focusing on one thing, I think about Eskimos, hunting. If you're sitting ice fishing and you're only focusing on the hole and you're not moving and scanning your environment, one, your butt could like totally freeze to the ice, and then here comes a polar bear and your butt's frozen, you get eaten. So the hard part is that, it seems like why are other people can do this and we can't? So riddle me this, it's like why are, other people? If you think about it, there was a really horrible hunter, and he was so horrible at hunting, back in the cave people day, that he'd always get made fun of. Like he sucked. He's always focused on one thing. He was never doing too much. And I think this dude or dudette, cave person, Ugg, or Judy or whatever the name was, this is sort of disgusting, but it makes me laugh and I like to think about it. He probably took a big dump and then noticed there was a seed in it, and he was such a crappy hunter that he just sat there and noticed that a plant grew out of it and it was edible. And he was like, oh my God, dude, we don't have to chase animals. I suck at that. I can sit here and plant seeds and shit, and it can grow, and you can eat it, and you don't have to run around and do all that stuff. And then he realized, man, you can support many, many more people with agriculture. But I finally told you how agriculture was actually the truth, how it happened. So then you could support way more people with agriculture, with farming, planting. And so these hunters sort of died out. And then you had this person who could plant seeds and shit and wait for it to grow. And a methodical kind of person who wouldn't run off in the middle of the day when a caribou came through and it's like, I'm planting my seeds. They could watch the sky and seasons and all this kind of stuff. So I'm telling you all this because you're not freaking broken. You're not broken. You're here because your ancestor had these traits that helped you survive, and the world has changed so methodically to this farmer world. We're like Mr. Roboto, trying to pay attention to these screens, having our mind focus on one thing at a time, and not pay attention to all this stuff. And then you got the fridge, you got your Nintendo Switch, you got other things around you. It's hard. So I'm going to do a little video series here and teaching us how to survive, how to train our brain to pay attention to boring crap, because it's not going to want to. That's why they put ADD people on stimulant medication, so they can sit still. It sounds crazy, but it stimulates, it speeds up that prefrontal cortex that can sit still and focus on boring crap without you stimulating yourself by doing something interesting. So you can sit there and then you're self-medicated and you're on a stimulant, and so you're all jacked up after you come off the stimulant. You can't freaking sleep, you can't eat, you lose all kinds of weight, and it sucks, and you get irritable and anxious afterwards. It bites it. So in some folks, yeah, it finds it helpful, but there's other ways too. That's just one way. I'm not totally against it. Rather have people not. There's many other ways how to survive without taking a pill. It's good for us to know this, because otherwise we feel like we're inadequate and broken, and I call it the crap stick. You mess up, there I go again, you hit yourself with a crap. I'm so freaking stupid, how come I can't focus? I'm always getting in trouble, I'm losing things, I'm disorganized. We can't shame or beat ourselves into changing into ways that help us survive. So I'm going to teach you in this little video series some real practical ways I've used and I've taught other people. They may be sort of rough and off the cuff, but they're effective, and you're not going to get them too many other places. So many of us, have so many strengths and beautiful gifts and abilities. And if everybody had to learn the way we would learn, they would have to take medication to keep up with us. Wow, how does he do that? How does he switch from one thing to the next? How does he juggle all these things? Where does this energy come from? How do they do that? So I'm going to give you a few tips as we go through the series. And it'll take a minute or two to practice these things. But how do we encourage ourselves instead of beat ourselves with the crap stick? We trip over the crap stick and go, oh, there I go again. We pick it up and beat ourselves up with it. And it's so hard. And one thing is we walk around, acting like we got it all together. And sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. But when we own that we're not broken, that we're just these leftover hunters in a farmer's world, and we have these abilities, but we need to find ways to survive and focus our mind in ways that are effective for us. That's when we can make anything happen. Our dreams come true. Those things we can recuperate from mistakes. And yeah, we're going to make mistakes, but we're going to allow ourselves to get up and encourage ourselves. When you attack yourself, it's like the caveman being attacked. Even if you say, I suck, I'm so freaking stupid, it activates your threat system in your body. It feels like you're really being attacked. And what's that make you do? Get small, hide, not talk, be scared to make another choice, to get out there and try again. So, starting this today, I started doing this outside, and a bunch of kids came out, started playing football, because it must be their hybrid day where they're off. And my mind got so distracted, and I used to be one of those kids out there screaming and yelling, so I was like, oh my God, dude, I can't focus. And I kept on trying. I go, what am I doing it that way for, man? I can go down in my basement with this cool looking bridge thing where I can focus where there's not kids. And I don't need to beat myself up because I can't focus with kids out there, and I can't get distracted by them. So my heart goes out to each and every one of you, but I want you to do what I do each day, is get up. And it's hard, but to remind myself of why I'm here and my strengths and abilities. And I'm prepared to fall down, but I'm also prepared to encourage myself instead of beating myself with that crap stick. So anyways, it's been 10 minutes. That's about as long as I can focus. Take care, and I'm going to talk to you again here in a few minutes or days, or depends when I do it again. But I am going to return to it because it's important to me, and you guys need to know this. All right. We'll see you.